Hey guys, today for my industry research project, I'll be talking to you guys about streaming and how it has affected the preservation of cinema and just how we view and preserve classic cinema as a whole. So, what is streaming, anyways? Well, obviously, we all live in the 21st century, and all of us either have accounts for or leech off someone else's account for streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, HBO Go. Who knows what else is out there? There's a lot. By definition, though, streaming is a method of transmitting or receiving data, especially video and audio material, over a computer network as a steady, continuous flow, allowing playback to proceed while subsequent data is being received. At its core, it means that we can watch and listen to whatever we want, whenever we want, and as much as we want. So streaming is clearly the best thing ever, of course. I mean, in many ways, it is really wonderful. Like, streaming platforms allow for tons of projects to see the light of day and get distributed when they ordinarily wouldn't. And they also enable creators to get creative and really out there with projects in a way that traditional media distribution methods like TV networks or just like your basic MPAA stuff would prohibit. Lacks of sponsors means less need to censor yourself, and that's pretty cool. But on the flip side, cinema is a lot harder to access than ever as far as like classics go. While some titles certainly exist on major streaming sites, there's a lot that just doesn't exist as far as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon are concerned. Why is that the case then? Well, streaming services only have so much money that they can spend on licensing agreements, and because of that, they tend to focus on what's new now and next. Like many things in film, it doesn't really matter to the purse holders if it doesn't have a guaranteed audience or demand, and something from, say, 1932 probably doesn't have the same appeal to, say, a Netflix audience than Bright or All the Boys I've Ever Loved Before. Not that those are necessarily bad things, but it's just not something that they want to put their money into. And that takes us to a prime case study of the idea of, oh, streaming will save everything, Filmstruck. So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, Filmstruck was a streaming service that was partnered with Turner Classic Movies, which is like the channel on cable that always shows old movies, and then the Criterion Collection. Its whole goal and its mission was to preserve cinematic history and spread world cinema to new audiences. It was unfortunately killed by AT&T and Time Warner, aka capitalism. They claimed that they killed it because there just wasn't a large enough audience, even though the audience that they had was very loyal. And not having a large audience for your subscription-based streaming service is pretty much a death sentence. While Filmstruck was obviously tailored to cinephiles, it was certainly capable of appealing to other audiences, though. Like, my dad and my grandparents loved watching old movies on my account, and my mom was able to watch the Barbra Streisand version of A Star is Born several times, much to her joy. After the death of Filmstruck was announced, there was a lot of brouhaha and efforts to try to save it, but it's kind of going to move on in a way because Criterion is going to start a separate streaming service now known as the Criterion Channel, and that's nice, but it's not going to solve everything because while Criterion owns the rights to tons and tons of titles in terms of classic and world cinema, they don't own everything. And that leads to an issue known as dead media. As technology develops, different forms of media become obsolete. Movies have gone from film strip to videotape to laserdisc to DVD, and now things are beginning to move from disc to streaming. However, not everything really even makes it to streaming in the first place, or sometimes even to disc. When a movie doesn't evolve to the next technological place of viewing, it becomes known as dead media. Not every movie is a cinematic masterpiece, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth preserving. From the very first films made by Thomas Edison to cult classics like Cool as Ice, to even your worst student film, every motion picture ever made tells a part of a bigger story. Films are a reflection of our culture, societal norms, and the subversion of those norms, and our attitudes. Letting them die due to them not making the jump to digital streaming is just losing those essential puzzle pieces of the greater human story. Is there a solution? It's complicated. Outside of overthrowing our capitalist overlords, I'm talking to you, AT&T Time Warner, It is hard to come up with a realistic solution for this issue. Something small that you can do on an individual level, though, is to support the content that you want to see on streaming services. Find that obscure indie movie or that classic movie on Netflix. Their metrics take note of that viewership, and if they see a demand, they'll provide for it. Subscribe to services like Fandor or Mubi, it's MUBI, and Mubi is free for film students, it's pretty cool, but you can watch content from independent filmmakers on those sites. It's a small step, but it's something that you can do to preserve and protect cinematic history. Thanks for watching.